Okay. A little bit. Okay. All right. So hands on legs, just a little bit of rounding. So maybe even starting with just anterior, posterior in the pelvis. Posterior, anterior, posterior, anterior. And then bringing in the ribs, but let it be long. Long back body, long front body. And then bringing in the head as well. Right, and bringing in the head, you can always slow down the pelvis, but then also bring in the breath. Long inhale, long exhale. And so it might be easier to exhale as you round, but notice what your body is doing. One more. And center. Okay, so my left leg. So I'm sitting on the edge of the chair so that my upper hamstrings get a little bit of action when I anteriorly tilt, but I am going to do just the right side. So the left side is just going to hang back or not try very hard. And your right anterior, posterior, anterior, posterior. And you might watch your knee going forward and back. And if it's tight, if your sacroiliac joint is really tight, just go super slow. Let your breath get longer, right? Just to soften around any resistance. Good, one more breath. And center, and then other side, right? Initiating from left side. You can even use your hand on your frontal hip bone if that's helpful, right? Letting your frontal hip bone rock back away from the thigh and towards the thigh. Again, one side might be a little more tight or resistant. And that's also really helpful information, right? Because we move around with one side tighter often. Good, and then coming back to center and both sides again. Just notice if there's any difference. Okay, and then we're going to rock forward towards an anterior tilt, and then we're going to move the pelvis around into the side, putting weight on that maybe right sitting bone. So I'm tipped a little to the right, and then around and back to a posterior tilt. So it's a little bit of a circle. So rocking around into the side, left sitting bone. I just got a crack in my back, and forward towards the pubic bone. Little circular movement around to the right, around to the tail, around to the left sitting bone, pubis. One more time. Around to the right, around to the back, around to the side, and around to the front. Opposite direction, around and left, around and tail, around and right sitting bone, and forward, left, tail, right, forward. And you might notice as you lean onto one sitting bone, the other sitting bone gets light. It might exaggerate more on one side and then come back to center. And just one more round, full spine. And center. Good. One hand on heart, one hand on belly. letting your breath drop into lower hand, belly and lower back, maybe even perineum, right? So pelvic tissue, base of the pelvis. Slow down the inhale, slow down the exhale. Slowing it down so much that you feel the breath move into the lower hand, right? Belly, pelvic floor, lower back, and then up into the upper hand. Lower ribs, ribs front and back and side. And exhale. Releasing right upper hand and then lower hand. Inhale, lower hand. And upper hand. Exhale, upper hand, release. Shrink, settle back to center and lower hand. One more. And pause. Maybe just a moment just to appreciate this body and being that you are. All that this body does, heart does, emotions, mind, spirit. Good. Let's inhale for an Om. Just letting that sound bathe your own system. Inhale. Oh. And one more. Inhale. Maybe this goes to you. Maybe this fills your cup so much that it expands out, 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 out. Inhale. Oh. Actually, let's just do one more for all of us, the we, this planet, and beyond. Inhale. Oh. Okay. Opposite hand. Again, you can do this by, depending on what side of your back is already further back, but just turning to that side first. Opposite hand to knee. Letting the breath move the body. Expanding ribs away from the center and away from each other, top to bottom. And coming through center and other side. Let this side just a little bit longer. Even weight in the sitting bones down through the feet. Again, slow, long inhale. Notice which ribs are moving more, which feel thicker, stickier, and release. And let's come to the first side again. This time I'm going to drop my chin to my chest. Good, letting the back ribs lift, letting the lower back lengthen. And then slowly bring the head back up, keeping those back ribs full or catching the breath. And release, second side. Again, chin to chest, lifting those back ribs. Good, letting the belly move back and lift. And slowly rounding up. Good, notice where the ribs are moving more easily. And coming back to center, just a couple of these. So right ankle, left knee, left thigh, little press. I'm going to lean forward, a little point. Active point, engaging the bottom of the foot. And a little flex. And coming back up. And again, a little tip forward. And point. And flex. And come up one more point as you tip. Squeeze the toes towards the heel and then flex, lift the toes towards the shin, actively engaging the front ankle. And come up and foot down, other leg, left ankle, right thigh, and a little tip. Point. Again, notice which side is tighter. And flex. And come back up. And tip. And point. And flex. And come back up one more point. Again, engaging the bottom of the foot. You might even feel a little bit of stretch on the front ankle or across the top of the toes. And flex. Good. And come up, foot on the ground. Little side bend. So maybe let's just put a little weight either down onto the seat of the chair, or you can let that hand slide down the leg of the chair. So I'm keeping this, if I'm going to the left, I'm keeping my right hip heavy. I'm letting those right ribs lift as the arm lifts. Again, left hand either sliding down or pressing into the seat of the chair or pressing into the leg. Maybe head tips. And come up, and let's go to the other side. Good. Left sitting bone heavy. Good, letting those ribs, the left ribs splay. And then was noticing that the waist was tighter on the other side, and this side it's tighter under the armpit. Just notice. Where do the ribs move more? And come up, first side again. Good. Maybe hand to top of head, lifting that elbow to the ceiling, sitting bone heavy. And then re-extend that arm. And come up, second side. And hand on the top of the head, just reaching through that elbow. And then re-extend. And come up. Okay, So let's come up to stand. I'm going to grab my blocks. We're going to do one more thing and then move a little bit more. So two blocks. Everybody. Okay, so right side of my chair, I'm going to stand. I'm going to put my blocks on the floor, highest height. You can have other things around if you need them. I'm going to step my left foot on the chair, both feet somewhat parallel. Left hand on the chair, maybe possibly right hand on the chair as well, or right fingertips on that further block. Good. Simple, simple. Maybe even soften that right knee and just a little anterior, posterior. Sweeping pubis and tailbone forward and back. Good. And center. And possibly let's bring hands to the blocks. Good. Maybe bending that standing leg. Let the hips get a little lower. And straighten. And bend. Right, so it's a little bit like a half squat on that left side. And straighten. Good. One more. Bend. You can even rock back into your right heel. And straighten. Again, little teeny tiny anterior, posterior. Again, could be quite small, maybe even invisible. And then maybe turn the blocks down. Again, you could be in a very different place. Sometimes you need to use two blocks under one hand and one hand on the chair, or even one hand on the ankle. So just listen to what your body is able to do, can do, and find any kind of breath or space, movement. Again, let's bend that right leg. Let the hips get a little lower and then straighten. Lengthen the crown of the head forward and the pelvis back. Good. And maybe just a little tail wag, tail sweeping to the right and left and right and left and right and left. And then keeping your left hand where it is, chair, block, doesn't matter. Let's take that right arm out and up. Good. And maybe back down to the block. And I'm going to reach down between the legs towards the back of the room. And then maybe reach that right arm forward away from the legs. And then up, turning more from the belly and the ribs than the shoulder. And one more time, down and under and through. And then reach forward away from the hips, past the crown of the head. And just maybe a little sweep around. And again, if there isn't much rotation, maybe it's easier to bring your hand to your hip. Just turn the belly. And hand on the block. Let's round up. And step down. Whew. To walk around to the other side. I feel like I have two different legs. Okay. Hands on block. Or sorry, blocks under a chair. So right foot on the chair, feet somewhat parallel. You can always turn the foot out a little bit if that gives you more access. Right hand on the chair, maybe left hand on the chair. You can also, again, use two blocks under your left hand. And then possibly start to lower. Okay, so let's start on the chair. A little anterior, posterior. Sitting bones move forward and back. And then maybe come a little further down. Let's bend that standing leg, let the hips get low. And the hips lift as you straighten. Bend. And straighten. Bend like you're moving towards a little squat. And straighten. Good. Little tiny anterior, posterior. Good. And maybe lengthening the crown of the head forward. Good. If there's availability, lower the blocks a little bit more. Again, let's bend and straighten and bend and straighten. Good. Little tailbone swing, side, side, tailbone towards the chair, away from the chair. Good. Maybe even lifting the eyes a little, looking forward, and then looking back. See what happens in the pelvis. You can either stay here, you can come back up a little bit. And let's take that left arm out to the side of the room and as far as up as it will go. And again, if that's too much on the shoulder because the ribs aren't turning enough, put your hand on your hip. And then take that arm down and back and through between the legs, look towards the back of the room. And then reach that arm forward past the head and around and up. Again, maybe hand goes on shoulder or on our head. And then one more time down and under and through. And reaching forward and up. Maybe hand on back for a moment, turning the belly away from the chair. And release, shift your weight into your legs and round up. Good, and foot on the floor. Just a little bend and straighten. Take a little walk just to get your bearings. Oh. All right, and then let's stand. Just going to stand next to my chair. Just one finger on the chair. Okay, so my left hip is near the chair. So I'm going to lift my right leg. So if you're on the other side, do the other leg. So right knee slowly lifts. Just one finger, right? I'm using all of this belly, front thigh, hip flexor stuff to lift the knee up. And then taking the knee out to the side, little weight shift. And then forward and down. Do that again, up and out. Forward and down. Shifting that a little bit, taking that knee up and around and down. Forward and up, around and down. Maybe even try one without the wall. Chip. One more. Okay, let's try the other side. All right. One finger on chair. You can always use more. Left knee up. And we're kind of doing opposite of what we just did. Pulling that knee and thigh towards the belly, right? Turning on all this front body stuff. And then out to the side. Forward and down. And again, lift and out to the side and forward and down. And let's do a little circle. Maybe take the other arm out and around and down, and up, and out, and around, and down. One more, up, and out, and around. Keeping the body lifting. Okay, so now we're going to go back to the first side. So I'm lifting the right knee. So now the knee is closer to the chair, knee up and out. I'm just going to go over the chair, possibly, and forward and down and up and out to the side. You can keep the hand on the chair. You can move the hand and forward and down. One more. Lift. Keep lifting up through the crown, belly scooping up and out and forward and down. And let's now see if we can make a little circle, right? You can always take the knee up and out, change the hand position to bring that leg around and down. And knee up and out and around and down. And knee up, and all depends on the height of the chair. You can always turn it around and do it around the seat of the chair. One more. Good. Other side. Finger on chair. Knee up and out over the chair and forward and down. And knee up and out and forward and down. Get taller as the knee comes up. Stay tall as the knee goes out and forward and down. Okay, and again, you can keep a finger on the chair the whole time. Knee up and out and around and down. Just letting the knee come under that arm or arms out to the side. One more. Okay. First side again. This time we're going to go again, finger on chair, but I take the leg back and up and forward and down, right? So again, the waist gets longer as the leg goes back and out and up and around the chair. Back and up and around and forward, hands on chair, hands off chair, back, up and around and forward. One more. To the other side. Back, turning the leg out, coming forward and down. Again, you can use one finger on the chair, just organizing around it, or arms out, lifting, lifting, lifting as that leg goes back and out and around the chair. Last one. Wash and center. Little balance challenge. Okay, first side again. One hand on the chair. Just gonna step one leg back. Oh, so two straight legs. I'm up on the toes and then rolling to the ball of the foot and then towards the heel. Come up onto the ball of the foot, maybe even up onto the toes. Ball, heel. With the front heel. And then ball, toes down. Shift forward onto the ball of the foot, onto the toes. Ball, heel. And then let's bend that front knee. And then let's bend the back knee. Knee towards the floor and then up. Straighten both legs, roll forward onto the ball, back to the heel, bend the front knee, bend the back knee, any amount, right? You can go to the floor, you can bend just a little, straighten the front leg, let's roll forward, onto the ball of the foot, roll back to the heel, bend the back knee, the heel's obviously gonna come off the floor, you can bend that front knee a little bit more, bend the back knee a little more, lifting up through the waist, straighten back leg, straighten front leg, shift forward, shift heel back. Last one, bending knee, coming as low as feels available. Maybe stretching that other arm out. Good, maybe bending back knee. Straighten, maybe one arm up, plant the feet. Maybe the other arm up, maybe the feet press down and away, or maybe they pull towards each other, lifting up out of your pelvis. Good. And then let's hands to the chair, straighten the leg, step the back foot in, other side. Shorter stance. You have to switch legs. There we go. I can remember. So just make sure it's the other leg that's in the back. Shorter stance, back heel down, coming up onto the ball of the foot, and then forward onto the toes, a little bit of effort in the toes, ball, heel. Onto the ball, up onto the toes, right? What do you need to do to lift up off those toes? And back down, last one. Use the chair. Good. And then let's bend that front knee and bend the back knee. Straighten the back knee and straighten the front leg. And I am sneaking my back foot a little bit further back each time, just because that feels available. Bending the front knee, bending the back knee. And again, these are all optional and listening to your body. Straighten the back knee and straighten the front leg. Again, maybe just a little shift up onto the ball of the foot, lifting that heel high, lowering the heel, bend the front knee, bend the back knee, straighten the back knee, straighten the front knee, shifting forward onto the ball, heel, front knee bends. I'm still lifting up, bending the back knee, still lifting up, straightening the back knee. Let's take one arm up, possibly the other arm up. Pull the feet either towards each other or press away. And straighten and step forward. All right. Hands on chair. Pushing down into the chair. Good, and let's actually walk the feet right under the hips. And I'm gonna press down into the chair and I'm gonna lift my heels and lift my ribs, rounding the back. Good, keeping the back rounded, slowly lower the heels. So I'm trying to lift the belly as I lower the heels. Good, and a little extension, sitting bones back, eyes forward. One more time, rounding, and lift the belly to lift the heels. Looking back towards the pubis. Keeping the belly lifted, lower the heels, extension, sitting bones up, eyes up. Last one, rounding. Maybe even come up onto fingertips Maybe even walk the feet just a little closer to the chair. Lifting the belly to lift the heels. Keeping the heels or the belly lifted as you lower the heels. Good, and extension. Palms flat on the chair, step back. Downward dog shape, Uttanasana shape. Bending and straightening. Let's bend the knees and swivel the hips to one side. And then to the other side. Good, through center. So I'm going to the right with the hips. So my left hand is reaching away from that left hip. And then the opposite, swinging left to right hand away from hip. And center, and two straight legs. Left hand, right ankle. Looking under that right arm. Maybe even looking to the side of the room or even under the arm towards the ceiling. Left hand on the chair. Right hand, left ankle. Again, looking towards the side of the room or towards the ceiling. Good, both hands on the chair. Good, let's do a plank shape. Good, and then bend the knees a little. Let's send the sitting bones towards the chair, ribs through the arms. Knees can stay bent to let the tailbone be heavy, or you can straighten the legs, keep that tailbone heavy. Maybe lift the chin. Again, lifting up through the waist. And downward dog. One more time, plank shape. Bend the knees, get that little bit of posterior tilt. Still feel that sense of lifting the belly. Send the pelvis forward. Again, the knees can be bent or legs straight. Ribs through the arms. And looking up. And downward dog. And walking forward. And coming up. Okay. Chair fun. Come onto our back. All right. Knees bent, feet on the floor. Arms out to the side. Good. And again, just listening for, right? It's like sending. So we do live in a culture that's very top down, right? And we're aware that that's not really working, but it's also how we move in our body, right? That the head, we think of the head as controlling the body. When in actuality, there's the neurons, there's 80% of our information comes from our body, or 80% of our sensory system is from body to brain. And there's only 20% of brain to body. But the information is really from the body. So listening, just to feeling, orientation, how the body moves. Like collaborative effort. So let's tip both knees to the right. Little weight into that left foot. And then slowly through center. And feeling back, shoulders, hips, soles of feet, back of head. Other side. What happens when you step into that right foot? or left foot through center. Noticing the jaw, the neck, throat, first side. And through center, second side. What feels good, what feels spacious, what feels dense. Sometimes when we move the body, the mind starts thinking or we get images. Or we start making lists. Good. And then next time you come to one side, let the back leg, so I'm on the left, the right leg's just going to sweep around that left leg. And my both knees are going to be bent to start. So the knee, right knee comes to the opposite elbow. Again, doesn't matter which side you're on. So shifting the quality a little differently, right? So maybe there's weight, and then there's a part that's gliding, floating. And in order to do that, what needs to happen? In the shoulders, in the ribs, in the breath. This whole body movement. Side, center, side, one knee glides and glides back. Good. And with that bent knee, as you draw it towards the opposite elbow, what happens in the ribs, head, maybe the knee goes to the elbow, maybe the knee goes to the floor, or both. And then if you want, you can play straightening that leg, bringing the foot towards the hand. Doesn't have to touch, but different slide, different glide, different weight through the spine. Again, noticing jaw and neck, upper body movement. Skin on the floor, skin facing the ceiling. Temperature of the room. Good. Noticing pacing. We're going to start to slow it down in a minute. Good. And then we're going to pause. So I'm going to tip to the right, left leg slides, right hand holds that left foot or ankle or knee. Pause. Letting that right leg settle. Left shoulder settle. Throat, jaw. Good. And then let's take that left leg and pull it towards the face, straight leg, pull it towards the face and up to the ceiling. And then out to the left. That right knee is still on the floor, right thigh is still heavy, is a counterweight. Left leg's falling away. And then take that left leg back and over to the right hand. Good, let's straighten that right leg now, away from the crown of the head. So we're in a rotated triangle shape, rotated star. Notice ribs and shoulders, right hip, left hip. Good, and then bending the right knee, let that left leg swing back around, both feet on the floor. Pause. And then tipping left, right leg swings, catch that foot or knee or ankle, pant leg. Ribs, throat, face, speed of mind. Can you relax the bottom hip, left hip, right shoulder? Good. And let's press into that left leg to sweep that right leg to the ceiling, straight right leg. And then out away from the left leg. Left leg is still contrasting, pulling towards the floor. And then right leg swings back into that left hand. And let's straighten that left leg down away from the head. Good. Rotated star, triangle shape. Rotated Ardha Chandrasana shape. What can get quieter? What can quietly lengthen? Or what needs to soften? Bending left leg. Let's sweep that right leg around, come back to center. Pause. Maybe a little anterior, posterior tilt. Good. And sweep right with the knees and swing and pause and hold again. Left foot in the right hand or knee. Good. This time let's straighten the right leg, but bringing that right leg into the right hand. So both legs stacked. Good. Right hand holding the toes or ankles or pants. And left arm up to the ceiling and over to the hand, over to the feet. And then back up to the ceiling and out to the left. And listening to sides of body, the side against the floor, the side facing the ceiling, the ribs. Left arm up and forward again. You can even take right hand to right foot, left hand to left foot or ankle. And then release that left arm up and again out to the side. Good. Waist long and soft, jaw soft. Good. And then left arm slides along the floor down towards the hip, across the leg, towards the foot, around the head, and out to the side. Good. And this is called stomach turning pose. So just notice what is happening in the waist, in the belly. Good. One more time. Left arm slides along the floor down to the back, across that outer left leg, towards the feet, up and around the head, and out to the side. And let's do one more opposite. Arm slides up and around. Straight arm, bent arm towards the feet, along that outer leg, outer hip, back body, floor, out to the left. Good. Soften the knees, left leg, right leg, come back to center, pause. Good. Knees drop left, right leg swings. Catch the foot or the ankle, pants. Good. And then let's straighten that left leg, both hands in the, or left hand around both feet or ankles or pant legs. Again, touching into the left shoulder and left side of body on the floor. Take that right arm towards the body, up and over that hip, along the legs, towards the feet. And then up and around and out to the side. Good. Making any adjustments as you feel either stress or strain. How can you listen? Again, left or right arm down and across the right leg and around and out. And then around and forward to the foot, feet, and around, across the leg, hip, floor, and back out to the side. Good. Waist, belly, under ribs, top ribs. How is this side different? What adjustments can you make, even in the just focus? Can it soften and deepen? And then bend both knees and slide back onto the back. Good. Little anterior, posterior, anterior, and posterior. Okay. So grabbing my blankies that were right next to me. Hopefully yours were not very far. Go slowly if they were far. I'm just going to lift heels, lift hips, slide blankets underneath. And let the hips get heavy and then walk the ribs away. And let's take the right knee up over the pelvis, left knee up over the pelvis. Good. And then take the knees wide. So knees are still, so maybe hands to knees. The arms are straight. Knees are, again, more in line with the pelvis, but the knees can go wide. Good. And then let's take the knees in towards the chest, holding shin. So now we're in a more of a posterior tilt, rounded shape, long round shape. Good. And if it's available, grab the feet, happy baby. And what can lengthen? Good. Taking one heel towards the butt and one heel away from the butt. And then switch the straighter leg bending and the bent leg straightening. Again, legs don't have to straighten all the way. Bending and straightening, just switching side to side. Good. And because there's a little support, it's a little bit easier having gravity help. Letting it be a little bit lighter. Good. One more time on each side, side, center, side, center. Good. And then maybe straighten both legs. If you need to shift the hands, towards the inner thighs or outer knees, ankles. Breathing into backs of legs, inner legs, pelvic floor. Good. And then bringing the legs together. Let them fall towards the body. Little point and a little flex. And let's just bring the knees further away from the body. I'm going to take a little right ankle, left thigh, and flipping that right foot up the thigh towards the hip. And either left foot comes behind the right thigh, a little half lotus, knees into chest. Good. And maybe even holding both feet, one in front, one behind, and letting the knees fall away. So there's a little posterior tilt as the knees tip away. And then come back to center. Good. Maybe full lotus, maybe slipping that left foot on top of the right thigh. Right thigh goes away from the body to let that left foot come over, possibly. And if not, just repeat what we did. Knees go away. And then both knees come in, hugging both thighs, knees in, and then release the legs, 2 straight legs. Other side, left ankle, right thigh. Let the left leg slide up towards the hip, holding one foot, right foot with left hand with right foot, knees into the chest. And then knees away. Both knees away. And then into the chest again, maybe right foot on left foot. If not, just repeat what we did. And then both knees away. Little posterior tilt. Good. And then both knees in, hug the knees into the chest. And release, 2 legs up. Good. Inhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 5. Exhale, 8. Inhale, 5. Exhale, 8. And bending knees. And feet to the floor. Letting that imprint of the breath stay with you. Maybe even keep the breath for another round or 2. Lifting hips, sliding the blankets out, thighs on blankets. letting the breath get more diffuse. Even letting the inhale move beyond the boundaries of the body. In that sense of merging, or letting the breath move through the different layers of your being into the field around you, your field. Whether you call it the auric field or you call it the toroidal field, the field around you, sourced by your heart. Just exploring your own energy body. Feel, texture, movement, color, shape. And continue to explore.